Story time with Mrs. Mullins. This story is called The Man Who Walked into Heaven. This is continuing our Bible story series. It's going to be in Genesis 5, verse 20 through 26. If you drew those lines I suggested, you will see that one line is much shorter than the others. The line marking the life of Enoch. His father lived to be 962 and his son 969, but he lived only 365 years. Why was this? Did he get ill and die early? No, in fact, he didn't die at all. That was the wonderful thing about Enoch. The Bible says God took him away, which means that he didn't have to die. This is something to think about. God does not treat everybody like that. As far as we know, only two people in all the history of the world, Enoch and Elijah, never died. Why did God take Enoch? He must have had a very good reason for treating Enoch differently. Was there something about this man that made God love him more than all the other people of his day? You may say, but didn't God love Adam, his masterpiece of creation, very dearly? He did, but God let Adam die just as he said he would, after he had lived 930 years. How about Seth? Wasn't he especially loved too? He was, but God let him die too after he had lived 912 years. That's what happened with all the others. God loved them. That's what's happening with... Sorry, I had to pause it. That's what happened with all the others. God loved them, but he let them die. What was different about Enoch? The Bible doesn't tell us very much about it. It simply says, when Enoch had lived 65 years, he became the father of Methuselah, and after he became the father of Methuselah, Enoch walked with God 300 years. Enoch walked with God, then he was no more, because God took him away. There is the secret. He walked with God. This is what God wanted Adam to do from the very beginning. There isn't anything God wouldn't have done for Adam if Adam had walked with him as Enoch did. Instead of forgetting him and wandering away, certainly he never would have died. It was the same way with Seth, Enos, Canaan, and all the rest. God wanted them all to walk with him, but none of them quite lived up to his expectations. Only Enoch did. He was different from the others. He loved God with all his heart. He had one purpose, to serve God and do his will. He wanted to be like him by never being selfish, greedy, jealous, or angry, for he believed that he was a child of God and that such wicked thoughts should not be in his heart. No wonder God was drawn to this dear man. I could almost hear God saying, "Here is a man after my own heart. He is just what I hoped all the sons of Adam would be like." Dear Enoch, what a noble, godly soul. Enoch walked with God 300 years. That was a long time, but God was testing him, watching him every moment, day by day, week by week, month by month, century by century. Enoch walked with God. At last, instead of dying, he just kept on walking right into heaven. What made Enoch want to live such a life? It may have been the result of a talk he had with Adam. Adam, remember, was still alive in Enoch's day. Perhaps he learned more about God's love in making the world. He made up his mind to love God sincerely in return. Yet it might have happened because of something else. The Bible says that Enoch walked with God after he became the father of Methuselah. That is, after his little boy was born. Having a little child means a lot to most daddies. Perhaps as Enoch looked lovingly at his precious baby, he thought of God's wonderful goodness in giving him a child like himself. Maybe that was when he gave his heart to God as never before and promised to love and serve him all his life. However it happened, from that moment, Enoch walked with God, which means that he kept in step with God. As they walked together, they must have talked to each other. Enoch learned some of God's secrets, things God could not tell anyone else. Some of these secrets were about God's plans for the future. This is why Enoch was able to state that great prophecy. See, the Lord is coming with thousands upon thousands of his holy ones, even though he was only the seventh from Adam. God helped him see clear down the ages to that wonderful day when Jesus shall come in his glory. So after 300 years of walking with God, God took him away. In the New Testament, we read that Enoch was taken from this life so that he did not experience death. For before he was taken, he was commended as one who pleased God. Isn't that a beautiful record for a person to leave behind? He pleased God. Could that be said of you? Do you try to please him every day? Always? It is a wonderful thing to walk with God, seeking to please him in every thought and deed. And if we do, who knows what might happen? Perhaps someday, like Enoch, we too shall go walking right into heaven. And this ends the story, and this ends part 2 of this book. I hope you enjoy this story tonight. Something to think about. Are we walking with God the right way, like Enoch? Could we walk into heaven? Share your thoughts. Thank you.